Here's what's coming into view on Elevating Denver for January. Take a look back at 2023 with the very best from our community. The best interviews.
What is this kid doing?
Stories. And events. It's a retrospective of 2023. It's a year in review just ahead on Elevating Denver.
My love for parks really started out when I was a kid. I used to go on road trips with my dad when I was, between the ages of about 10 and 14. And we would jump in our camper and we'd go all over the country, just the two of us. And he would take me to parks, to historic sites, to remote wilderness areas. And it really developed a love of history and parks and exploration. I was very fortunate that my first park job was as a park ranger at Mesa Verde, which was the place that really sparked my interest in archaeology. And I got the chance to go back there and work as a park ranger, doing education, helping connect people to a place that had been really moving to me. And over the course of my career, I got to work with wildlife biologists, fire ecologists, park rangers, and people who do such amazing work in the support of parks. And what it made me realize is that the magic of a park is that all of these things come together as one and give us an opportunity to connect with the sense of place. And I think that's what I love the most. And that made me really want to get more involved in natural resources management and be able to think about how we manage parks as a whole. How do we maximize access and the opportunity for people to connect with these places while also making sure that we're protecting what's most important about them. Denver Mountain Parks has been around since 1912, which makes it even 4 years older than the National Park Service. Genesee Park was created in 1914. It was the earliest park in the mountain park system and was initially designed as a drive-through wildlife park. So it was designed to have bison, elk, and bighorn sheep. And many people will probably remember seeing elk here. We no longer keep elk, but we still have our bison herd. This bison herd was created in partnership with Denver Zoo. The herd was established with animals that were kept at City Park and with animals from what's now the National Bison Range. And we've maintained them as a conservation herd since then. A lot of people ask me about the differences between cattle and bison, thinking that they're very similar and just look a little bit different and have different horns. That's actually not true at all. Bison and cattle are very different. Bison are wildlife. They're wild animals. They've never been domesticated. Bison are a critical part of this local ecosystem of the Americas, and they're considered a keystone species, which means that their presence is critical for a functional ecosystem and for the survival and health of other species around them. When bison were removed from the landscape, it created an ecological collapse. When you reintroduce bison to the landscape, it brings it back to life. One of my favorite little companion species with bison is a little rainbow scarab dung beetle. Now their job is to go into the dung and they take little bits of it and they burrow down around the edges of the dung and they line their burrows with the dung, and they use that for laying their eggs and for mating. And that's the function that these little dung beetles provided, was to aerate the entire prairie. And so when those disappeared, it made it much harder for water to permeate down into the roots and those long prairie grasses. And that's one of the reasons why we really struggle with drying up springs and losing some of our groundwater, is because of the loss of bison and even these little dung beetles. When you reintroduce bison back onto the landscape, they do so many things. Their hooves help push native seeds into the ground and help retain a little pocket of water that helps them germinate. They create wallows in the ground as well. If you've ever seen a bison rolling around and dusting, they're trying to get the bugs off, and it's part of their natural instinct. But what it does is it creates these little ephemeral pools for birds, for coyotes and foxes, rabbits, amphibians, all kinds of wildlife that are out on the plains. One of the things that we really want to help communicate to people is that the bison were targeted for removal from the landscape. And that was done intentionally to control native peoples who depended on them for their mental health, for their well-being, for their lifestyle. And so being able to come here and learn more about bison and being able to connect with them, I think really opens doors to better understand our human history and also our ecosystem and what we need to do to help restore some of that ecological balance, not just here in Genesee and in the Denver Mountain Parks, but across our landscapes. I think the rewards of this work have been so far really strongly related to the Bison Donation Program. And it's been an amazing experience to watch these bison go home every year. We raise them here as a conservation herd. They're a genetically significant herd as well. And so to the extent that we can help support genetic diversity in the bison population for tribal herds is important. There are tribes across the nation that are trying to rebuild their herds, that are trying to demonstrate their own sovereignty, and that are asking us and expecting us rightfully to acknowledge that, to acknowledge their role, their history, their presence on the landscape, and their contemporary place in working with us. Changing the language we use around what we do, I think, is really important. So this is Genesee Park, and we manage a conservation herd. We're not a ranch, and we're not cowboys. When we handle our animals, we consider this a handling facility, not just corrals. So we're really trying to change that mindset of not just what we do, but I think it really speaks to why we're trying to do it.
We've heard a lot of these great stories about how the Denver Connector is helping move folks around their community in a better way. It's a free on-demand micro-transit service, which basically is a transit service operating with some smaller vehicles. A little different than how other services drop, where it's point to point, so it picks people up where they are, takes them exactly where they need to go. We picked Montbello initially for a number of reasons, but one of the big ones is both the land use being a little more spread out, kind of that suburban style land use, but also having good transit around the periphery. We found that that's a really good kind of recipe for these types of services to be successful. Also connecting to grocery stores in communities that don't have those is another big piece of it. We planned this with the community for the community. We went to folks and said, hey, we're thinking about a service like this, get you around your neighborhood, connect to those things adjacent regional destinations. How should we make this work? What type of hours should it run? Should it be free? Should it not? And so taking the successes from Montbello, changing it a little bit for GES, I think has really created a service that meets the needs of folks in the community.
My name is Matvey Lipitsky, and I was on the initial committee looking at starting the Denver Connector, and I gave my feedback, and I have been heavily promoting it. Denver's got a wonderful public transportation system, but the closest bus stops to me are about a quarter of a mile down the road. And in the wintertime, I've got to walk that and then stand in the elements waiting for a bus to come. And now I don't have to do that. If I'm going somewhere locally in the community, I can directly go without having to stand out in the elements, and I don't have to run on the bus schedule. I can run on my own schedule.
Yeah, I definitely see an impact in the community. Everyone's always telling us how helpful we are, how convenient this service is, because a lot of people around here, they don't have cars. So the nearest Walmart is in Commerce City, and I've heard people tell me it takes 2 to 3 hours just to get there. And you know, with this, it's just a 15, at max, 20-minute ride. And I've also had a lot of older people tell me, like, their means of getting around was a taxi. They're using $30, $40 every time. You know, this is a free service. I just get everyone telling us how grateful they are for the service.
NETC's role in this is really the community outreach and making sure that everyone in the community knows about this amazing service, so that if and when they need it, they can easily just pull up their phone and hail a ride from the Denver Connector service.
Folks often chuckle when I say this, but it's meant for everybody. Really, anyone taking trips within the community to and from destinations in the community, we want everyone to ride it. That's actually a big piece of why we made it a free service.
I think that's probably one of the best things about the service is it's no buy-in, and there are no criteria on who can and can't ride.
You know, we've heard that the Denver Connector service has changed people's lives in the community from families that don't have multiple cars. So they might be a one-car household. This really frees up parents to get to work, run errands with kids, get kids to after-school programs. For individuals with disabilities that they don't get out much, but this makes it so much easier with that door-to-door service. That's where the Denver Connector really shines, is that on-demand, the app capability for the smartphone, a dedicated dispatch in English and in Spanish, to really make this as convenient as grabbing car keys to get out your door.
I can call a ride on the app, and they advise you when the driver is showing up, so I don't have to go outside until I know that they are here or on their way. Very safe, very secure. I've never had to wait more than 10-15 minutes.
Download the app, you pick your service area, whether it's the GES service area or Montbello, and then you create a small profile about yourself, and then you start requesting rides.
If you have one in your community, ride it and ride it often. I think the more people using it, the more need there is to expand the services, and that's just the most tangible way to really kind of vote with your ridership there.
The Denver Connector and transportation is part of affordability in Denver, and that's a really hot topic right now with housing and affordability, and transportation is a piece of affordability.
I think we're proving what an asset it is to these communities that it is in.
So many people just tell me how grateful they are for this service, and you actually feel like you're making a difference.
On our average days, we're moving between 400 and 500 folks on this service. And overall, since we've added the connector to Denver streets, we've now moved over 75,000 people. So really excited about that milestone and that folks are really taking advantage of this service.
We are doing a Fire Operations 101. Subject matter experts showing everyday people, including council members, what they do, how they do it.
We have a lot of different apparatus out there. We've got our heavy rescues, we've got our collapse rig, we have our dive rescue, we have our drone unit. So we are very proud of what we do. We're the only people that say, I get to go to work today. So the men and women out there are excited. They want to show off and they want to show you all the wonderful things we do.
This is so fun!
My name is Kaylee Dancy, and we're just out here helping you guys.
Woo! That's tight. And I got high waters. I'm back in high school.
I have heels on right now, but I'm planning to, switch to some boots.
For these, you want to always at least clip 2, and you just slide those in right there. If you want all 4. It's a little hot and you guys aren't actually going in the fire. So,
okay. But if I were going into a fire, I would need all 4?
All 4, and you'd button everything up and you'd have a lot more gear on. These ones you can adjust.
Good, because my melon is huge.
Fire Ops 101, it's a chance for us to bring our partners in the city, individuals from city council, council aides, council members, get a chance to find out, how we could complement each other.
I think it's an important opportunity for us to not only collaborate, but build camaraderie between our offices and those that serve the entire city in Denver Fire.
I think one reason is because we see all these funding requests for equipment, and actually I have a number of times sort of asked for more detail or more understanding.
I think that the biggest takeaway is to actually see what we do on a daily basis. We could be called on a medical call 1 minute, we'll be doing auto extrication the next minute, and then also a fire. So to actually see exactly what we do on every single day of our jobs.
An example of equipment that we just got to use was new Jaws of Life type tools that are handheld and will cut right through a car. I got a souvenir. Cut a little chunk off a car. And they move fast, they're easy to carry, and I'm really glad that our department has them.
and we want to make sure that what we're doing is in alignment with the visions and values of our constituents and the city council members, and ensuring that we're identifying areas that we can be better and growing from those opportunities.
Today we climbed up a bunch of stairs. We got to put out a fire of a burning van.
We have a car fire on an engine here. There's 4 of us. So my job is I'm on the nozzle, and then Q here is going to be doing search and rescue basically inside the vehicle. He'll be popping doors, breaking the glass, making sure there's no victims or anything like that inside. And that's his job. So my job on the nozzle is to protect him, and that's what you're going to be doing today. All right? You feel that pressure, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to hit the engine. I think the engine's on fire. You're going to hit in there.
We even got to ride the boom all the way as far up as it goes.
This is great.
67 degrees of elevation. And now I'll take us up. The steeper the angle we go to, the more stable it feels up here.
Firefighters, that's a term that we're very proud of. That is probably one of the most dangerous and difficult things that we do. However, with the 145,000 calls that we run every year, approximately 67% of those are medical. Some things we're able to perform now that we weren't in the past was we could start IVs now, we could do advanced airways, and really have an opportunity to make a difference when it comes to patient care. Obviously, fighting fires is something we train for and prepare for, because those, again, one of the most dangerous activities we'll participate in. Technical rescue, under the ice, over the ice, open water, confined space, structural collapse, hazmat releases.
That's right. We handle that.
We've got some things that are very high risk types of incidents, and some examples of that here today would be our technical rescue team rappelling out the side of a building. So there's a whole gamut of what we do, and we've got to be prepared for everything.
And the last thing we got to do is we need to search for victims.
The one thing that's different about firefighters is when people call 911, sometimes 911 doesn't know who to send that call to. They send it to us because we're good at problem solving. We'll find a way to make it better.
I've always wanted to be a public defender, and I have proof of that because when I was in 5th grade, I wrote an essay about my future job, and it's hanging in my office. And I wrote that when I grow up, I want to be a criminal defense lawyer. And I want to represent people who are charged with crimes. And my last sentence is that I hope someday I have the opportunity to go to court to see what my future will bring. So it was a good choice when I was in 5th grade. It's a good choice now. Some of the challenges of being a public defender are that, every single day it's hard work. You're going into court and you're representing people that are the most vulnerable in our society. I feel like we're fortunate in this municipality in Denver that we are fully staffed, that we are funded, our lawyers have great training, but that is unique. Anytime that anyone's charged with an offense, they should apply for a public defender, especially if they are with lower means, and it's very easy in our system to apply for a public defender. So if you're in court and you're charged with a crime, their applications for the municipal public defenders are at the courthouse. Our office is located here at 710 Colfax. You can come into the office any day between 9 and 12, meet with our admin, paralegal, lawyers, client support team, fill out an application, and once that's processed, you have a public defender. So everyone should have a lawyer. We have been celebrating the 60th anniversary of Gideon versus Wainwright, which was the seminal Supreme Court case in March of 1963 that said that everyone, the poor people and people with means, all deserve to be represented in the highest level as possible. And so since 1963, public defenders have been those people that go into court every day to represent the clients that are the most vulnerable. Public defenders are the people who are the experts in public defense. Public defenders are the people that stand next to their clients to ensure that the Constitution is seen and heard. We are the finest lawyers, I would say, in the courtroom. And it's, as we said before, it's a hard job, but it's the most important role in the criminal legal system because we stand between freedom and incarceration. So public defenders are the champions of justice as far as I'm concerned. And I think for everyone, hopefully. It's hard to describe how honored and privileged I am to be sitting in this chair. This office is unique nationally. Before I came here, I did some national public defense training and reform work, and I spent a lot of time in municipal and magistrate courts throughout the country. And so often I would see people that were charged with low-level misdemeanors not represented by public defenders and pleading guilty without ever seeing a lawyer, without ever seeing their evidence, and some going to jail without ever seeing a lawyer. And this office, the Office of Municipal Public Defender here in Denver, is incredibly unique in terms of the fact that we have some of the finest lawyers in the country that are working every day to represent clients in court. We have a client support team, social workers, behavioral health navigators, peer navigators that are working hand in hand with our clients to hook them up with services. We have paralegals, we have administrative staff that are all working together holistically to ensure that no one falls through the cracks. So I walk through this office and I sit in this room and I see the people that are working. They choose to work here. Sometimes people say, oh, you're a public defender. These are the finest people that I've had the pleasure of working with. So I hope that people feel comfortable enough if they ever have any questions about municipal public defense, about how you go through the system, why it is important to have a public defender, what happens when you get one of our public defenders, and what services can we provide? Because when you walk into this office, I hope that you feel seen and heard and valued, and that we can work together to ensure that the best result happens. Because even if a client is found guilty after trial, I've heard even in the past week, one of the clients turning to their public defender saying, thank you so much for working on my case. I wish that there were more people like you. And so it feels good to do work that is helping people, especially here in Denver. So I hope that this work continues, and the door is always open.
I mean, I was broke. My husband left. There was nobody there for me. My kids weren't here. They're all in another state. So I really was lost. I'd come over crying. She'd hug me and she'd start crying too.
Chrissy has been visiting the Wellness Winnie since we started outreach at Street Fraternity. She is a wonderful lady who in the beginning would just come and access hygiene and snacks.
The Wellness Winnie is a fun-sized RV that offers support, assistance, and resources to those in need where they are. The Winnie is staffed by mental health counselors and peer navigators with shared experiences to provide equitable access to behavioral and support services.
It was real hard because my husband had left me and I just moved into this apartment. And I didn't know anybody, and I didn't have food, and and toilet paper and all that good stuff. And she supported me for about 4 months on shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, which really helped out. Boost my self-esteem. Just having somebody that cares about you is a whole lot.
She was always sad. It seemed like every time we talked, she was upset and sad about things that were going on in her life. People would take advantage of her. She never seemed happy. I started thinking about things that she could do with her time so that she's not just sitting at her house. And then that's when the cooking classes came up.
Through encouragement from Shauna on the Wellness Winnie, Chrissy signed up for cooking classes at Housed Working and Healthy. And in September, she will graduate and begin working in her new career.
I'd go by their trailer like, Chris, you go and get in school yet? Nah. You know, it's in the mail, or, you know, yeah, they call me and they're supposed to get back to me. Then they just kept on, and finally I said, I gotta do it, so I went and did it. I graduate September 21st. I've never graduated nothing in my life, so yeah, it's a big step.
I get like worked up. It like makes my heart happy. Because she's happier than she was before, and her life isn't like miserable, and she has a goal and she has something to look forward to every morning when she gets up. And some days may be hard, but she still gets up and does it, and I think that makes her even stronger than she was before. Anyone in the community can seek out the Wellness Winnie and get resources and help. We don't turn anyone away. I think that my history and my past come into my work every single day. I have walked in the shoes of many folks that I provide services to. I know what it's like to be desperate, to think that you are a loser, that you have nothing to give. I know what that person's going through, so I can communicate better with them.
She put me up on a pedestal. You know, I wasn't a low life no more, you know, that I mattered. I think that's a lot, that if you matter to somebody, it means a whole lot.
It's the caring piece. It's wanting to make somebody's life better just by being there, because we all need support.
If I had never met Shauna and got into the program, it would have been a lot different. I think that I wouldn't have changed very much anyway. With them, I got like a life jacket.
I see more self-confidence in her. Her face looks brighter. She seems happy. She seems like she's accomplished something and that she has followed through with something, which I think is huge.
I'm still into this belief that I could do something like that, but you know, when you have friends that, you know, come together and help pick you up.
Surround yourself with people that you want your life to be like. Surround yourself with what you want your life to look like. And always know that tomorrow's a new day and we all make mistakes. Get up and try again, because we all fail. You just got to get up and try again.
Stay elevated by subscribing to the city's YouTube page for these stories and more. And stay tuned to our social media channels for more content. Don't miss our new episodes of Elevating Denver, premiering each month. Thanks for watching, Denver.